Okay, now we're going to take a look at some of the helpful features that are available in Photoshop while we're editing photos or working on any of our projects. I'm going to go ahead and just create a short, small image here. And as you notice, I have these rulers being displayed on the sides of the image. And in order to get that up, it's a very helpful thing to have. Make sure you go to View and select Rulers. You can turn that on and off. You can also use Control R to turn that on and off. And it's a very helpful thing when you're working with either inches or even just trying to figure out where the center of an image is and working with it like that. We also have a lot of other tools that are available under this view panel, and snap is a rather large important one that I have turned on right now, and we can snap to grids in the guide, layers, slices, document bounds. That's very helpful. In order to create a guide, let's just take a look at creating a guide real quick. All we really have to do is bring our mouse over to one of the rulers. We can click in there and hold, and just pull down a bar, and then this is our guide. And we can use this to create text on, bump up images to snap them to it, and you can pull them up from the other side too. And these work great for framing out certain parts of your document. And you'll notice as I start to bring it towards the center, it will also snap to the center, so I can have a center guide if I want to. Now in order to move these guides, all you have to do is select the Move tool, and we can go in here and move the icon just over the guide, and then we can move it and adjust it if we want to, or we can delete it and we can drag it all the way to the ruler and let go, and then it will delete that guide. But I'll just show you really quick. I'm going to create a shape and show you how snap works. So I'm going to create a rectangle tool. Use the rectangle tool and just create a small rectangle. And I'm just going to rasterize that. And now making sure that you're under View, making sure Snap is on, and then making sure Snap to Guides is on. Because what we can do is just move these objects around, and you'll see that they will snap to our guides. And now it looks like it's kind of overlapping on the side here, but if we zoom in 100%, we'll see that's not really happening too much. And another main reason for that is sometimes you'll notice when you're creating shapes that you don't always get a sharp edge on the side. And that happens most of the time when you're not drawing shapes at 100%, when you're zoomed in or zoomed out. You can get that problem. There's an easy way to fix it. And what we can do is to use the rectangular marquee tool and just delete those sides pixels on the ends, making sure that we're not too close to a snap area. Just delete those sides, and now it's not perfectly square, but we can see that it is snapping perfectly to these guides. And maybe that bottom isn't quite right either. But that is one thing you will notice with the shape tool, is sometimes it's not always perfect. But we're snapping to our guides now. We can either just snap the bottom, or we can go to a corner, or snap certain areas. And just as we drag it anywhere close to it, it'll automatically just snap it into place. Another thing we have the ability to do is actually snap it to other objects. So if I go ahead and I'm just going to copy that. And how I did that was selecting the layer, going down to this bottom right, second from the trash here, little button. And what that'll allow us to do is just copy that layer up. And now I can use this layer and move this around. And as you can see, these purple guides start showing up. Those are our smart guides. So make sure smart guides is turned on. And that would be under Show with Extras on. You can show the guides, Smart Guides. And that's just showing that it's lined up for either the top, the bottom, or the center. But since they're the same size, they're going to line up for all three. Another really nice thing about the Smart Guides is that it's available on no matter what layer you're working on. As you can see, we have these two separate objects on different layers, and I can move our object around and still see the smart guide, so they don't have to be on the same layer. But it's a really nice thing to have, and obviously, if they're getting in the way, let's say we need to just have a little bit of an offset with these objects. Obviously, it's snapping it in and pulling it in towards it. All you really have to do is just go to View and turn off Snap, and then you can move your object wherever you want it and not have to worry about snapping if you don't need to use it. We can just turn that back on. And there's one more really helpful tool, and that is the grid. I'm just going to select Show Grid, and now we can see our entire Photoshop document has been broken up into a grid. And this is also extremely helpful when you're working on any image, so that you can see reference points and things like that. Helps for drawing out your guides if you're going to be doing that, or just positioning your objects or your layers and anything you have. So it's a really neat tool that you have in there, and you can turn it on and off at any time just by using the view panel. And we can turn off our guides if we want to, or turn them back on. And like I said, if we ever want to delete them, you just select them with the move tool and drag them off into the ruler, or we can actually clear our guides just by going to View down here, select Clear Guides, and now they've all been deleted. So there's also a few other things within the View panel you can take a look at. We can view the actual pixels, which will bring us up to 100%. So at any time you can't really hit 100%, all you got to do is select actual pixels and you'll be able to view that. We also have print size view in here. We can change our screen modes, which is pretty much the same thing as we have down here in our toolbar. We have those separate screen modes. So that's another way of accessing those different areas. What we can also do is create our slices and lock them. If we don't want to be editing our slices like we had before when we're working maybe with a web project, and you don't want to have to worry about moving your slices and editing them, you can lock them in place through there. So that's pretty much most of the view panel here, and lots of different things you can do with it. We can also zoom in and out on there as well, but those are the basic tools that you'll probably end up needing quite a bit when you're working with Photoshop.